Are you just existing in this life? Maybe just floating along and blowing with every changing wind? Or are you living on purpose? As a student, you obviously have at least one major goal, graduation, but there's so much more. I want you to live on purpose and not just exist on accident. For those who believe in Jesus, he said in John 10:10, I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. So how can we live on purpose? Well, first, it's a good idea to understand your purpose. Ephesians 1:12 says, to the end that we who were the first to hope in Christ would be to the praise of his glory. Are you living to the praise of his glory? Are you allowing his grace to work through you to touch others? Or are you more focused on building your own reputation and your own castle in the sand? Yes, he has given you so much: talents, gifts, abilities, influence, passion, drive, resources, and much, much more. And he does want you to leverage all of that as he directs, but not for you or by your own strength, but rather always by his grace and for his glory. So do you get it? You are created for God's glory. You're the only you in existence and are the crown jewel of his creation. Ask God for wisdom as you figure out how to live on purpose. Proverbs 16:9 tells us the mind of man plans his way, but the Lord directs his step. You say, wait a minute, I'm not a planner. Well, are you sure about that? I think we are all planners. We just all plan differently, and that's okay. In fact, some of us just plan not to plan. Planning is good. The problem arises when we try to control every single step and not leave room for his direction. What does his direction look like? Well, he can direct us through our parents, friends, his word, his still small voice in our spirit, wise counsel, circumstances, although that one can be a bit tricky, and even your desires, and we can touch on that one in a separate session. Don't be scared of planning. And for those driven students who have their college, career, and future life already figured out by age 15, leave room for God and allow him to direct your steps. Of course, we must remember that planning is not just wishful thinking. The soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, but the soul of the diligent is made fat. See, just desiring something, that really doesn't get the job done. We've got to be diligent if we're going to win the prize. So let's talk about this idea of objectives. And I've divided these objectives in certain categories. And these are just how I divide it. You can come up with your own categories. But when we think of objectives and maybe goal setting, you might want to think about your spiritual life, your life with God, ministry, relational type objectives, financial objectives, physical, your body, and anything around that physical type objectives, educational, your learning, your soul. I think of spirit, soul in the educational and learning area, and body, your physical goals. But also, so important is our financial and relational and ministry, how we're serving and how we desire to serve others. That's all ministry is. It's serving. And God, we often think, is just really focused and concerned about my spiritual life. No, when you accepted Jesus, he took up residence inside of you, and he wants to express his life through you and through every area in your life. So pray and ask God, what objectives do you have for me that I can achieve my purpose and glorify you? Maybe you've got some educational objectives and like read more books or develop better study habits. Maybe some spiritual objectives, more consistent quiet time or focused prayer time. Perhaps you develop some ministry and serving objectives, maybe inviting someone to church inside out, or how you can serve others. You want to serve others better this year. Maybe some relational goals, improve your relationship with your mom or your dad or your siblings, or develop godly dating habits. Perhaps some financial objectives, and you want to give consistently or save more money. Also, this idea of physical goals. You want to get in shape, or you want to eat better. And when I use the term objectives, and some people will flip this around, I'm using that as broad statements that need to be fine-tuned, but it gives you a direction. Here's some objectives. But generally what we want to do is break it down a bit. And those objectives, each objective can be further broken down to a specific time-bound goal. And those goals will then be broken down into certain tasks. For example, you may say, I want to read more books this year. Well, a specific goal might be, I want to read 3 or 6 books this year. And then you say, I don't know what to read. And then you may, one task may be, well, get some recommendations from some friends or a mentor or your small group leader, somebody. Go to the bookstore and find the book and buy the book or download the book. So those goals that you set you'll have specific tasks in order to reach those goals. But you definitely want to not just break it down, you want to write it down. That cements it. And whether you write it on the old-fashioned paper, or you get some cool apps and use your apps, your built-in apps, maybe on your reminders on your iOS device, or your goal setting on your Android device. There's tons of cool apps you can use. But whatever you choose, break them down and write them down. And when it comes to goals, you want those goals to be SMART. This is nothing I developed. It's been around for a long time. But you want those goals to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And each objective that you set, and I don't go overboard on the objectives, because again, you may have multiple goals within that one objective, and you don't want to go goal crazy. All right, so just a few, 1 or 2 in these key areas that God is just prompting your heart, and then set the goals, and then create some tasks to meet those goals. And just make sure those goals are SMART. Now, as you get moving on this and you get rolling, it may seem that everything is just going right. You got all the balls are in the air, everything's going great, and you're just running on all cylinders. But eventually, and I guarantee this, eventually you're going to come to a traffic jam, and things are going to slow down or stop, or maybe all of a sudden you're sitting there and wham, out of nowhere, you just get hit. But you know what? That is just life on this planet Earth. And we are not exempt from it as believers, and sometimes we even get caught in the collateral damage of other people's poor decisions. Matthew 5:45 said, "For he causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous." In other words, we're all in this together. We're not exempt. And see, no matter what, our response is to trust God. So, set your goals, make your plan, and walk by faith, trusting God and being flexible enough as He directs each step. And know that God has it all under control, even when everything looks out of control. And please, as you work your plan, don't keep your head down, so focused on your goals. Look up and explore the world and the people around you. And remember these wise words.
When life gets you down, you know what you gotta do?
I don't want to know what you gotta do.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. What do? We swim, swim.
Doreen, I'm singing.
Oh,
Dory.
I love to swim in.
Dory.
When you want to swim, you want
See,
to
I'm gonna
keep
get stuck now with that song. Now it's in my head.
Sorry.
Let's jump in and get started.